Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Chef Rich. Today we're going to learn how to make a fruit platter. First we're going to talk about ingredients. We have a watermelon, a cantaloupe, a honeydew, a pineapple, papaya, a kiwi, and over here we have some strawberries, some blueberries, and some grapes. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to wash these. The good thing about these types of containers, you can actually wash them right in the container and the water runs right through them. I'm going to leave them in the sink to drain. That's the strawberries. Now, as far as washing strawberries go, if you're using your fruit platter immediately, you can do this. If you're going to be using it later on, you can't wash the strawberries. The strawberries will get very, very soft and actually start to rot very, very quickly after you wash them. If you are using it immediately, that's fine. If you're using it later this afternoon or tomorrow, I would actually add the strawberries last minute. The fruit platter can be done in advance, wrapped up and stored in the refrigerator without a problem. Just put the strawberries on last minute. Let's talk a little bit about our ingredients. A watermelon, choosing out a watermelon, should have a thugging sound. Sometimes when it's like a deeper sound, it means it's not right. This doesn't work 100% of the time, but it does work probably a good 75% of the time. As far as your other fruits go, melon should have a little bit of give to it when you squeeze it. If it doesn't have any give, if it's hard when you squeeze it, it's going to taste like wood when you eat it. Same thing with honeydew. Honeydew during the summer, sometimes you can shake it and you'll get a little bit of a shaking sound. If you shake it right next to your ear, it means that the seeds are loose and they're moving around, and that also means that it's more ripe. Pineapple, pineapple should not be like a very, very dark green. It should be a lighter green with a little bit of yellow on the bottom. Sometimes though, I'll put my fingers up against the pineapple. If my fingers go through the pineapple, it's overripe and your pineapple is going to be rotten. Papaya should have a little bit of give to it when you squeeze it, and same thing with kiwi. I'll wipe down my board, and we shall begin. This platter is the equivalent of a 16-ounce round platter. It serves between 15 and 30 people. If you're going to be serving it with a lot of other desserts, you can probably say it's going to feed 30 people comfortably. If it's part of like a breakfast buffet, more like 15 to 20 people. We start with our watermelon. For this platter, we're only going to be using half the watermelon. So I'm going to be cutting it in half. Actually looks really, really, really nice. We're going to flip it over. We're going to cut the ends off. We're going to turn it on its side. And we're going to peel it. Watermelon has a white pith on it. When you cut, you want to go right below the white pith. White pith doesn't taste very good. Now our watermelon's peeled. These small white spots you can just kind of trim off. Hopefully you don't have too many. Now we're going to cut the watermelon in half. And we're going to slice. When you slice, you want to do pieces that are as even as possible. One of the things that helps as a chef is if you put your fingers like this and you put your knife up against it, make sure your thumb is tucked back. That's the proper way to slice. That way you'll not cut yourself. You want your slices to be as even as possible. If one piece is very, very, very thin and one piece is very fat, your fruit platter is not going to look as nice as if everything's relatively even. I'm going to pick this up, put it over here. Same thing with this one. Take the knife, just pick the whole thing up. And get rid of the ends or give it to the kids. we're just going to push it down and push this side down. See what we're going to do is we're going to wipe down our board. You want to try not to get watermelon juice on your floors because of the sugar. It is very, very sticky. Next, we're going to do our cantaloupe. We're going to cut the ends off. And we're going to peel basically the same way as the watermelon. Cantaloupe has green in it right below the skin, so you want to cut the green off. The green will make your melon taste also a little bit woody, so you want to get all the green off. When you're peeling, you should use a sawing motion. You'll notice the knife going back and forth. Some people just push on it. If you saw, you'll definitely have better results. Sawing motion meaning it's going back and forth this way, not just straight down. And your melon's now peeled. We're going to cut it in half. Take a spoon and we're going to scoop out all the seeds. Always try to get all the seeds. Most people don't like to eat seeds. I know I don't. And we're going to slice these basically the same way as we did with the melon. Try to make sure your slices are even, because once again, the more even, the better your food platter will look. Very often I don't use the ends. Put that over here. Now, if you move your hands this way, the melon's going to go one way, and if you move your hands this way, it's going to go the other. So I want it to go this way, over here. So I'm going to go like this. Spread it out and bring it right up against the watermelon. So a little bit of green on it. You'll notice that my thumb is behind my fingers, so I don't cut my thumb. And I use my fingers as a gauge for the knife. Put the ends away. Pick up the whole thing with your knife. Put it down. Once again, this went this way, this is going to go in the opposite direction. So we're going to go this way. Put it right up against the watermelon. Next thing we're going to do is our honeydew. For this platter, we only actually need half the honeydew. I'm actually going to peel it the same way. The honeydew has a white pith on it, so you want to cut below that. Because once again, you don't want your melon to taste woody. You don't want to take off too much meat, but you definitely want to cut below the white part. Once your melon is peeled, we're going to cut it in half. We'll also get rid of the scraps. We're going to take the seeds out, slice it. Get rid of our... Now, as our platter gets smaller, it gets harder and harder to put things down and move with it. So this I'm actually going to just do right on a cutting board. I'm going to go pick the whole thing up, put it right in the middle. Next is our pineapple. We're going to cut the ends off. Pineapple is very dirty. I continually wipe my cutting board as I'm doing a pineapple. These things are called eyes. You want to cut below the eyes. Just based on the color, I'm guessing that this pineapple is not going to be as sweet as some other pineapples. When it's more wider, it's definitely not as sweet. More yellow is definitely a better color. Now we're going to cut the pineapple in half, right through the core. We're going to V out the core. A V meaning it's actually an inverted V. So we're going to take the knife. We're not going to go too deep. The core is very woody. Doesn't taste very good. We have to take the core out over here. You don't want to go too deep, or the pineapple will actually fall, come apart and separate in half. We're going to slice this. Same way. Take the ends off. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. I'm going to put one right here. We're going to move this back. So this one's going this way. This one's going to go the opposite direction. And even though it doesn't look like there's a lot of room, we're going to make this fit. Good. Grapes, most people like smaller bunches. So we're going to cut it into small bunches, and we're basically just going to put it at the top of the platter. Occasionally, you cut a grape in half. Those grapes you give to the kids or eat yourself. So strawberries. So strawberries are nice and they're not blemished. I'll use them whole. If they have a lot of blemishes, I'll cut the top off and then cut them in quarters. Actually, let me find one. This one is a little bit blemished. So, like that's very blemished over here. So I'm going to just cut that whole thing off with the top. I'll cut it in quarters and I'll use it like that. If the blemishes are on the sides, just throw it out. Generally, I'll start by putting bigger strawberries in back. We'll go maybe over here. Next thing, I'm going to put some strawberries at the bottom. Some over here. Gonna mix some over here. Next, our papaya. We're gonna make the papaya flower as our garnish. To do a papaya flower, we're going to do a series of V cuts. A V cut is exactly what it sounds like. It's a V. Make sure you go all the way into the middle. Now we're going to do another V connecting it. Now another one. Now another one. You're just going to keep going all the way around until you get to the other side. Once you've gone all the way around, hopefully pull on it and it should come apart. Next, we're going to make some petals on here. We're going to do inverted V's. On every petal, we're going to do an inverted V. Once you've done that, we're going to actually peel the petal. You should be going right below the skin. You don't want to go too deep. And that should be it. Now we're going to pull the petals apart, and the part that you cut as a V should come off. There you go. That's going to go right in the middle of our platter. And with the kiwi, we're just going to do a series of V cuts. Same like the papaya. With the papaya flower, if you're doing this later on, you can't pull sometimes when I do fruit platters in advance, in my real life I'm a caterer, I will just leave it like this, and right before I serve it, I will pull these out. What happens is if you leave it for these petals for a really long time, they kind of wilt on you. So that's actually very important to know. Once you've gone all the way around, just kind of pull on it. and you have nice flowers. Put one here, and fruit platter's finished. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please consider subscribing. Thank you. Have a great day. Be well.